Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I have a special video for you today. It is featuring my husband. This is Robert Brown, and what we are doing is we're going to show you a video on how he built our smokehouse. So it's a very detailed explanation of everything. He's going to walk you from start to finish. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching.
A lot of our friends have asked us to show them how we built the smokehouse, and so Margot had considerable amount of requests for it, and so I have decided to go ahead and do this for her on her video, and I really appreciate everybody who has given her support and liked her videos. Anyway, so we're probably going to start over at the actual barbecue.
Barbecue?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. We're probably going to start over at the barbecue pit, and I'm going to show you the basic concept behind the barbecue pit, because I feel like if I show you the barbecue pit and how it's actual smoker, once we get over here and we talk about the actual smokehouse, it's going to make it a lot easier for y'all to relate with the concept behind what's going on here. And as I'll state later in the video, we'll have in about 5-6 months, we'll go back, and when we make our next whole round of sausage, you know, and from the slaughter down to the processing, it's an involved process, and people may or may not really like that, but you know, that's how life is, and that's where food comes from. But you know, in about 5-6 months, we'll make a whole nother video series on how that goes, and you'll understand what's actually going into the smokehouse. But this is the concept behind what actually cooks the sausage, how you cure it, and then later package it, freeze it for later consumption. You know, this is an all-natural way of making your own food source. You should get 12 to 16 months of food using their proper food saver bags in the freezer, and you know, that's big savings that will eventually convey over 10, 12, 20 years. Not to mention, it's much better for your body.
We also have a few clips from when we actually did the meat processing itself that we're going to insert in the video, so you can see the smoker in action, and it's really cool. Hope you guys like it, and thanks so much for watching.
All right, let's go. So before we start talking about how a smokehouse works, I'm going to talk about how a barbecue smoker works. And I realize a lot of people out there know exactly how this works, but all of this technology in theory will convey, and it'll all make sense here in about 3 or 4 minutes. So a barbecue smoker, essentially you load it with wood at the bottom. It has draw. It goes back this way, and you have something that wicks the draw up top. And usually that's, it's an elongated space that has one exit, and that's what makes the whole pool. It works just like a fireplace inside of a wood burning stove, barbecue pit, and smokehouse. It's all the same theory, it's just different way to get there. So important part is you have a thick insulated base, which we do here. This is about 3/8 metal. It keeps all the heat inside of there very well, and that's really important to have good insulation, because otherwise you're constantly loading material, and when you're constantly loading fuel for your burn, you know, you're taking away your smoke, you're taking away your constant temperature, and it's a lot more damn work. So have a good insulated base. You load it up with your material. This is how I get my draw. I have a long neck, and it goes from A to B. When you look right here at my thermostat, basically from 100 to 225 is smoking temperature. Okay, 225 to about 375 is barbecue, and anything over 375 is burnt. Really, anything over 350 is burnt. Okay, so basically we loaded the wood in here. We have temperature, a food in here that we're trying to get to a certain temperature quickly, and so everything usually goes 225 to 250. It's more of a controlled smoke slash barbecue, and it may take 5 or 6 hours, but that's how you cook everything evenly from the inside out, and that's very important when it comes, especially when it comes to smoking in a smokehouse, because over there we're not really trying to hit 225, which is like my magic temperature on here. You get a golden blue smoke out the back. Over there we're trying to hit anywhere from 100 to about like 165 consistently for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, depending on what we're cooking. For instance, if we have a sausage that we want to cold smoke for 3 hours, and we want to stop at 155 and 165 would be cooked, we would take that sausage out at about 155 at its temperature, and then we would let it dry for 2 weeks. If we want sausage that we want to, it's ready, you open the package and it's ready to just heat up and eat, we would cook it to full cooking temperature, which would be like depending on what you're cooking, 155 to 175, and then we would package it or take it out, put it in a cold bath, and then package it at that point. When you heat it up again, you'd put like a little bit of a glaze on there, or a brownie or whatever. When you put it on the pit, it's going to get that blackened look, and you're going to kind of finish it off. If you want to cook it inside, same thing. You kind of like let it on the skillet, get its brown marks, and it would taste really, really good. When you cook sausage, it's important to remember that you're not really cooking something to eat at that moment. You're cooking something to eat at a different time. It's cooked, it's finished, but it really needs to be just, you know, marbled or finished off later by somebody else. And so it's an important concept to remember, okay? I mean, it really, really is. And I mean, whereas like, you know, on barbecue pit, whatever you take off of here, you're going to eat right away. So you want it to be finished and done. And that's the difference between 225 and, you know, and 155, 165. Because when I throw my finished sausage on here, I'm going to cook it at 225, you know. I'm going to try to get that nice scalding over top of it so it tastes crunchy on the outside but juicy on the middle. And you know, and now that we've talked about how this all kind of works, I feel like when we go over to the smokehouse, it's going to make a lot more sense. So let's go. So there's a few basic concepts behind the smokehouse, and that's what we're going to talk about next. That's a little too close. If you can back up a little bit, thank you. I need my 5-foot bubble. I'm doing my thing. Okay, so basically it all starts down here. Okay. Remember the smoke box over here with the barbecue pit? It's the same thing here. This is our smoke box. And if you want to back out and just pan out right here, we have these 5 bricks here, and these are CMU blocks, and it basically just keeps the fire from spreading out to our little bit brush pile back behind it here. But we start all of our coals right here. And as you can see, we recently had a smoke here, and that's when we made all of our sausage. It's about 300 pounds of sausage, and it all turned out really, really well. We were real happy with the results. We get a nice big fire going here, and you're going to use whatever wood you're going to have. You're going to have like your, you know, your cherry, your oak, pecan, whatever. We used a mixed cherry to oak ratio, or I'm sorry, pecan to oak ratio, because the oak kind of gives you like an elongated, consistent burn, and then you get a lot of smoke from, particularly from the pecan. And so I feel like it turned out really well. But you got to, here again, you got to remember the whole key here is you're going for smoke, not really heat like a barbecue pit. So we're pre-burning everything, if you will, right here to get rid of all of the ambient heat that comes with a new log in the fire. And then over here, as things burn down, we have coals. We put them in here because we're trying to just get the smoke. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt up here. See this dirt right here? What we do is we put our base material in here, then we put a cap on top of it, and we throw a little bit of dirt up on top, loose dirt. Because what that does is it seals all these cavities here around on whatever metal material, or, you know, obviously you're not going to use wood, but whatever your material is, you know, it kind of seals the smoke, and it allows the smoke to concentrate on moving upward. When I pull this back, I left all the ashes in here so that you guys could see and we could prove that we really did do a big smoke here. And everything just kind of gets tossed up in here. It swirls and works. When you suffocate this out, you take away all this oxygen. So really, it just kind of barely stays at like a barely lit but not lit type of material. And that's why it's important to pre-season this wood over here, because it allows it to be super hot, kind of like 100% charcoal versus like a wet piece of wood or just a raw piece of wood. You put it inside of here, and it slowly burns down. You see, there's 4 holes right here. And these 4 holes allow for the smoke to penetrate just right there. And all of this is just a solid, you know, matrix of just CMU blocks. And what we did here is we have just a dirt base down here at the very bottom. We put this in here. I didn't put any material in here because I didn't feel like it was necessary. But you'll notice I put the dirt up all around here, and this is my insulated box. It's much like my barbecue pit. It's very important to insulate this because we don't want smoke to leave, and we don't want our controlled temperature to leave. And so that's what we did here. We put the dirt all the way around, so that way we have more of a consistent, you know, product that we're producing, if you will. And then this is a simple piece of tin that we slide underneath. There's nothing special about this. It's just a 4-foot piece of tin by, like, 24 inches. And then we have a piece of block that's just revealed right here that keeps this kind of tucked underneath here. As you can see right here, this is a heat shield that we put dirt on top because originally we had our CMU blocks about this high right here, and we found that it allowed too much heat up and it really scalded the outside of the metal here. So what we did was we lowered it down, we kept it simple, stupid, kiss. And then by putting it down low, just like this, and putting this block on top, it worked really, really well, much better. I mean, I want people to realize out there that we don't really, I mean, there's no secret to all this. Anybody can do this. This is not that difficult. And even if your smokehouse, looks like a crackhead built it, it will still work because it's a smokehouse as long as it's sealed properly. Okay. Now I am a general contractor. Okay. I do build things for a living, and that does help me a lot. But I also want you to understand, when I go build something for somebody, I have a written set of plan set to go off of. And this was built just out of my head. It's not that big a deal. It's not that special. So let's kind of go from there. As you can see, there's no special little knob here and like that. A special door latch. This is just wire that's left over from a job. And another thing that's very important when you do all this is it's extremely important not to use materials that are treated, ACQ or MCQ treated for outside, because everything that, even though it's not burning in here, it will get very hot and it will release the inside arsenic or whatever, if you will, or different things of that nature. That's why we chose the metal we did. We chose galvanum, not painted, because paints have a lot of other things on them that you don't really want in your food. When smoke works around inside of there. This is aluminum. Our lid's aluminum. We do have a temperature right here. I want to thank Grand Zine's Meat Market for this, because we also bought their seasonings for our sauces, and it turned out fantastic. And just like over here at the barbecue pit, it's the same thing here. This was actually made for a barbecue pit. Right here, 100 to 225 is smoke, 225 to 375 is barbecue, 375 to 500 is grill. That's your burgers, your hot dogs, whatever. But if you're barbecuing for 4 or 5 hours, ribs, brisket, whatever, Boston butt, it takes a long time. If you get over about 300, you are screwed. So when we open this up, it's basic framing. There's nothing special about this. As you can see, the smoke heavily penetrates everything. Okay, all of our OSB in here is non-treated OSB. It's just raw OSB, and it's stated as such. Probably the worst thing on here is the ink that's inside of here. I also want to stress that we pre-smoked this for probably 24 hours before we put any kind of produce in here. And the reason being is because we wanted to sit there and take out anything that could possibly be in here that would get hot and it release some kind of a chemical, because it's important, what's in your materials, and just like with crops or anything like that, what you use beyond water, it goes into your body, and it's important. So if you'll pan out, Margot, just a little bit right here, I want you guys to see the CMU blocks. Okay, right here. And you saw how deep they went over here. These go down about, 4 total. There's 1, 2, and there's 3 and 4 down below. Those 4 tie into the same exact height or elevation as the smokehouse box right here. Then on the inside of this, we built this up, and we divided this out with several different ways. I just used old bricks that we had left over from our house, like this. And as you can see where they sit, they allow smoke to come up. But what you're doing is you're taking the heat and you're dispersing it evenly. And if you don't have some way of doing this, it's not going to happen. And this looks elaborate and all that, but it's really not. It's simply just 4 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are set down inside of the CMU blocks all the way down to the bottom base level. Then all around here, if you can see, right here, as outlined, I simply took rebar pins and I drove them down in every single column. When you look at CMU block, like right here, they have these shafts that go down when they're lined into each other. I simply took 3/8 rebar into one of these over 4 layers, pounded it down, and filled each column full of concrete. It's not that big a deal. It makes a solid structure, plus it insulates the bottom. Okay. Then on the top layer right here throughout the top layer where you see the concrete, these middle right here, I cut the middles out. I cut them out, I scored them, and I cut them out and broke them out with a hammer, and I filled the top column only into one solid joint. It's called a bond beam. I have one piece of rebar that goes from all the way around. It's so simple, y'all. It's physical effort. It really is a lot of physical effort, but other than that, it's not that big a deal. For the door, I just reverse framed everything. However big my door was here, was the exact same. I made it a 1/2 inch bigger for here, all the way around, and then I took 1.5 inches and made a lip. So when my door came in, it's sealed, and you can prove that it's sealed right here. See how this is white right here? And this is brown right there. Brown to white. That's our seal right there. And that's how you keep the smoke inside of here. These are just laid bricks on top of CMU. And there's no like established pattern for this or material. I just feel like it's easier to CMU block because they're all consistent. And I just use these on the inside because it was easier to finish these with this versus like something else like a CMU block. And it helped disperse everything. And then it's just framed like a normal metal barn would be framed. Inside of here I have 4 layers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Every one of these sit at I think they start at 16, which they do. 16, 32, 48, 64. And these are just 2x6s that are cut in half. That's all they are. It's no big deal. These are 3/4 inch rebar. And you can really see, like if you really look at all of them, you know, a normal piece of rebar is super rusty and nasty. Well, these kind of were too. And what we did is we cleaned them really good with soap and water. And then we stuck them in here for our 24-hour burn. And you can see how they seasoned real heavy. See what's coming off of my hands? That's all the heavy seasoning. And then, as things cooked, you know, they hang on that loop. It's not nastiness that's getting all over your food. And inside of here, there's OSB that goes all the way around, and that's my insulator. That's what keeps everything kind of like constant in here. It makes it a lot easier, okay? And everything's just shelled with metal. So as I made my fire, I put it in here. I kept the constant temperature. As I closed this, I figured out, you know, over messing with it with our first 24-hour burn, I figured out how much wood to put in here, how much oxygen to allow in here to get the smoke that I needed to pre-season all this, and the temperature I needed. And then it really did work. I mean, in about 3.5 hours, you know, we brought our meat to about 165 or 175, whatever we were cooking, and everything turned out fantastic. You know, it's a lot of effort, but I promise you, you can do this. It's not that hard. And I hope that this can inspire a whole movement, because people should do this. I mean, it's an all-natural, non-GMO. I mean, when you go out and you harvest your own hogs, your own venison, you know, your own beef, whatever, and you make it into your own sausage, you know exactly what's going into it. The ingredients, the seasonings, the high temp cheese, all that stuff is just it's good for you. And when you eat this stuff, it's non-processed, man. I mean, this is. People complain all the time about the food they eat and how bad it is for you. Well, this is the answer. You know, do something like this. Grow your own vegetables. Make your own meat. And, you know, our cooler right now has probably 200 links of different kinds of sausages and probably, you know, 15 pounds of summer sausage that we made all natural, you know, the old school way. It just takes a little elbow grease. And, you know, I feel like we're healthier people for it. The other thing, too, is I got together with 3 buddies with this. So I have 3 buddies that are feeding us, you know, that are bringing in their hogs, their venison, and their labor when we process all the sausage. You know, it makes it a lot easier, and then we split everything, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 ways, however many guys came in and helped us. So that's something too. It's kind of like a small co-op, and so it really helps split the cost on all the machinery and this, of course. I built all of this for right at about $1,000. Okay, I know it's a lot of money, but you know, I feel like this is something that's going to last forever. And the food that goes into my system and my wife's system and my little baby girl system is more important to me than $1,000. And you know, I feel like this will last 30 or 40 years, and I feel like that's money well spent. And I hope to have helped some of you with your venture towards a better life. So, thank you. Hey guys, we really appreciate y'all watching the video, and I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all liked it, and I hope you got something from it. You know, so.
Please thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new to my channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.
Hope you guys have a great year. Take care. Bye-bye.